Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at this 2022 Mercedes Benz S500. Huge shout out to Mercedes Benz Northlake for providing this luxurious sedan for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. The S500 that you see behind me is finished off in diamond white, and it has an MSRP just over $123,000. And under the hood for this S-Class, this has the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's also mated with the hybrid electric motor and paired to the 9-speed automatic transmission. Combined, this pumps out 429 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 4,600 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 22.2 gallons. You'll expect to see around 21 miles per gallon in the city and 30 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 126.6 inches. Its overall length is 208.2. It has a width of 76.9 and a height of 59.2 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this S500, let's start off with all of the chrome that you see on the front end. I think it accents the white very nicely. It's not overdone, gives it a nice subtle touch. So as you can tell, the entire grille is finished off in chrome with nice horizontal bars and one vertical running right down the middle. Now this has a forward-facing camera just off center, as well as the forward-facing sensor, which you can see takes up the middle section there. So that's for the adaptive cruise and all of that technology. There's also plenty of cutouts to provide a lot of cooling to that engine. In the lower section is all the parking sensors, along with more mesh and cutouts. And then on the far corners, there's actual air inlets to provide even more aerodynamics. You can see there's more black and chrome in the lower section of that trim. It makes its way to those side trim pieces. This even has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. Nice sleek housing for the headlights there. There's a few lines coming down the hood just to tie it in nicely. And as you can tell, there are 2 Mercedes Benz badges. There's one emblem on the top of the bumper and then one at the very edge of the hood. But it works well. Gives it a nice, classy design for this sedan. And working our way to the side, this has a set of 20-inch wheels. They actually have a 2-tone finish to them with that multi-spoke pattern. Fits nicely with this exterior white. Now this model also has the AMG line package, which gives it the front and rear bumpers, as well as the lower side skirts where you can see more of that chrome. So it gives it a little bit more of a sporty character for the outside. Now this also has body-colored side mirrors with the integrated turn signal and a camera. And this even has the full panoramic sunroof. All of the window trim is finished off in chrome too, and it matches nicely with the 2-tone for the door handles. Now, as you can tell, the door handles are currently out at the moment, meaning that this vehicle is unlocked. If I just tap on the back section, now the vehicle is locked, and then you can tap anywhere on this handle. If you give it a little bit of pressure, they pop back out, so that way you can enter and exit. Pretty cool to see that integration. There's very nice lines running down the side as well in the lower section and just above those door handles. And then for the rear, this has a small trunk mounted spoiler. There's more chrome running right through the middle of the power trunk. This even has a set of LED taillights with a nice design. Now the backup camera is actually hidden up underneath where the license plate is, but it will pop out, so that way you do not see it when you're not using reverse. There's some more trim and parking sensors in the lower section, and then that dual exhaust, a few fins in that diffuser too. So it gives it, like I said earlier with that AMG line, a little bit of a sporty characteristic to it. So let's make our way to the cargo space now. I'll use the button on the key fob. You can use the one up underneath as well. And for a 4-door sedan, this has a lot of space. You can see the cutouts on the driver and passenger side, so you can place an item sideways if you need to. There's also a hook. You can place groceries, any bags that you may have. And then if I lift up this entire floor, you'll see there's a little bit of storage on the back section. So you could place some items down below if you really needed to, but it gives you a lot of space, especially since there's only a cutout right there. The back seats do not fold down. You have an ample amount of room. Now with the power trunk, you can lock it. You can also just close it too, just depending on what you need to do. And we can move on to the back seats now, where I'll do like I showed earlier, give it a little bit of pressure, they pop out. And now we can take a look at this beautiful interior. I love the beige leather. There's also brushed aluminum on the release handle. There's lock and unlock. This has the Burmester audio sound system. There's even 4 window controls on this passenger side. I'll show that here in just a second. There's more brushed aluminum, more leather, a little bit of storage in the lower section of the door. And then this even has the privacy shades, which you can raise and lower. This model even has the interior ambient lighting, Hopefully you can see this. It looks pretty cool during the day, so at nighttime, it would really pop. And at 5'10", let's hop into these back seats. I have so much legroom. At 5'10", I have the front seat set at my height. This is very, very spacious. Right in the middle are 2 air vents, a little bit of storage, and if I open this up, there's a 3-prong outlet and 2 USB-Cs, so you can charge electronics if you need to. Now, as far as headroom goes, I have around 2 or 3 inches above my head, but if you want to be chauffeured around in this S-Class, you have a very luxurious back seat to sit in. Now, right in the middle, if I pull this down and open up the back section, you can see there's a little bit of storage space if you want to place some items there, and a sunken in area where you can place items so they won't roll around. And like I showed earlier, you can actually gain access into the trunk there if you have some items that you need to pass through. And as far as visibility goes, you have a good amount of visibility, so it feels very open. There's large windows. You even have your own sunroof and sunshade adjustment for the backseat passengers. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we have all those controls. If I use this one on the upper left, that will control the sunshades on this side, and then once they are all the way collapsed, you can then further use that to control the window. The one on the back left, if I push or pull on that, that will actually adjust the back window, so you can raise and lower that one if you need to. The one on this lower right will control the one up on the roof there, and then we have one for the passenger window, which you can adjust putting up or down. So it's pretty cool to have those adjustments. You don't have to reach all the way over to that passenger side where they do have the same adjustments in order to use this side. Now, there's also one air vent on that pillar as well. And then we have the dome lights and the grab handle on one side. There's also another strip of lighting right in the middle there, which is pretty cool to see. Now, as we work our way to the front seats, they have the same design, of course, as the rears. However, there's the addition of all the memory seating adjustments. These are even heated and ventilated. You can control the passenger front seat by pushing on that and using all these adjustments. Lock and unlock is just above that release handle. There's all of the lighting controls as well as the side mirror adjustments, which are power folding. There's even a control for the rear sunshade. You have all the window adjustments, one speaker, and a release for that trunk. Very nice to see that, along with the interior ambient lighting strip. Mercedes Benz is also an illuminating badge, so that's just like in the rear. And then the leather seats have a very plush headrest option, which makes it that much more comfortable. And so at 5'10", we'll hop into the front seats. Very, very low car, so it's easy to get in and out of. And moving on to the steering wheel, it has a very nice two-tone design with the wood trim on the exterior, the leather on the interior. There's more piano black running throughout the entire middle section. But let's fire up this S500 to go over the rest of these controls. That button is located over on this right side, and we can bring this to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, for this setting that it's on right now, on the left side is the miles per hour. On the right side, you can even monitor the EQ charge and the power, but you can also go through a lot more settings using these buttons over on the left side. So there's a home button as well as the scrolling dial, a back button. Underneath that is all the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings. So right now, if I push on the home button, you can see we were in the understated mode. If I push on sport mode, it will change to where you can see the G-force on one side, along with pound-feet of torque. On the right side is the horsepower and the engine data. So if I give the vehicle some gas, you'll see those adjust, which is pretty cool to see with the RPMs there. Now, if I go back to home, we can go over to exclusive, where now we have more of a traditional view. You can also go through a lot more information right in the middle, like navigation and music. You can look at your attention assistance. There's some other data here to monitor. So you have a lot that you can go through. If we go back now, we can go over to classic now. It will change one more time, just to be a little bit different. You can even pull up the navigation in full screen, so you can monitor all of that as needed. There's assistance to go into, even service, so you can take a look at all of this. Now, what's really interesting, if I scroll up, all of these settings are actually for the heads-up display. It might be a little bit hard to see at the moment, but if I start all the way over here, you can obviously turn it on and off. You can go through some settings, and then you have an eco display. This model even has the optional augmented reality. So if you click on that, the entire heads-up display will change, and it shows you a lot of information, which is pretty neat to have. You can also scroll up. You have a standard, so it just shows the speed limit and how fast you're going. There's a sport, and then we also have a minimal, so it just shows your miles per hour. Pretty configurable to have all that information. Now, over on the right side of the steering wheel, you'll see voice commands along with volume for the radio. There's Bluetooth controls. This star is actually a favorites button, so you can configure that to what you'd like to use. And then all these on the top, which were similar to that left side, will control the center screen, which we'll come back to. This even has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters finished off in brushed aluminum. Now on this left side, you'll see the electronic parking brake. There's more of the lighting, along with the split air vent with wood trim on each side. There's even more air vents right in the middle, which have a clean look to them. There's more of that lighting going all the way to the passenger door, which is pretty cool to see. And then right in the middle, we have this all new touchscreen system. So I'm actually gonna start with the toggles down below. This is one entire piece, but you can push on different areas of it to activate what you like. So currently it's an Eco. This also has a comfort mode. There is Sport, Sport Plus, and an individual. So you will see everything change just depending on the mode that you're going into. And then the one just next to that is for the 3D camera system. You have a lot of different angles, just depending on the visibility that you need to see. There's also an auto and the parking sensors too. You can even push on this one for the GPS position. So when you make it back to this spot, the camera will automatically pop up. It's pretty awesome to have. It's a feature that you could use pulling into your driveway or parking spots, things like that you use a lot. So it'll quickly come up for you. Now, if I push on the car icon, these are all the functions that shortcut on the steering wheel got to. You have the manual shifting, you can raise and lower this vehicle, you have the steering assist, and you have a few other settings that you can quickly get into. The hazards are next to that. This even has a finger sensor that you can use. There is power, so you can shut the screen off if you'd like to. And then we have mute and volume for the radio. And then as you can tell in the lower section, this hasn't changed. So we have the functions up top, and then there's fan speed with all those controls down below. We have the dual zone, of course. You have the temperature. Right in the middle is the home button, as you've seen me been using. And then underneath that, there's even more piano black, which leads to this massive compartment. There are 2 cup holders on one side, a little bit of storage here. There's even a wireless charging pad on the left side and a few auxiliaries. Now, if I push on this button, that will completely be hidden away, gives it a very clean look. Now, for the center armrest, it has the split design to it. You can see a good amount of storage with some auxiliaries. Over on the passenger side, there's a lot of space for all the items that you'd like to place there. There's even the fragrance canister, which this model has. More of that wood trim. You can get another look at this interior. Very, very nicely spec'd model. Now up in the center, there's another control for the sunshade in the back. You have the dome lights on both sides. And then we have the adjustments for the sunroof and the sunshade for the front seat passengers. So you can use those buttons to quickly open this up as needed, of course. So now you can see the sunroof opening just a little bit as well, so you can control that as needed. And then this also has the touch sensitive dome lights. As we set off now behind the wheel for this 2022 S500, right off the bat, this is such a luxury style and focused sedan from Mercedes. Just with the plush headrest, every time you turn the steering wheel left or right as well, the lateral support from the side you're turning away from will give you some added support. So it's pretty interesting to see that. So as I'm making a left right now, this right one will tighten up and give me some support. So that way you're not sliding around your seat, especially when you're taking this around turns. So for the style sedan that this is, you almost want to be driven around in this S-Class. You don't want to be the one driving, but if you are driving, it is so comfortable. And as we give it some gas, it's very quiet. It's almost like you can't hear anything, which is the point of this for how luxurious it is. Now, if we go into dynamic, let's pop it into Sport Plus. So we were in the Eco setting there. So if we put it into Sport Plus, we can also now use these paddles as we turn around here. Has a pretty good turning radius to it, but we'll give it some gas here. And it gets a little bit louder, but it's still hard to hear. And going over some of these bumps, this is not the smoothest road. It's absorbing all these bumps very, very well. It's like you're driving a comfortable couch down the road. It is that comfortable. And as far as visibility goes, it's very easy to see all around. We have a lot of glass. This is also pretty stretched too, I would say. So the glass is much longer over my left shoulder, right shoulder. Pillar's not all that bulky. So you don't have any visibility issues. You have that camera system too. As we switch over to the POV angle, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel for this S-Class. The steering is also pretty responsive, but it's very smooth too. So just driving this, everything about it just is focused for being luxurious. Light steering, which is also responsive, seats and everything, suspension, even how quiet this is. I am very impressed. Now, I'm not going that fast, about 40 miles an hour or so. I'm sure out on the highway though, this would be very Very comfortable to drive. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention, behind this massive screen, there's actually a storage bin. So you could place your phone or any items that you may want hidden out of the way. And there's a little bit of a lip there, so they won't slide out, which is cool to have that integration, almost like a floating style to this screen. Turning radius is also very tight for the size of this sedan. And just with a mild acceleration, super comfortable and quiet. We have a bump here. It's almost like it didn't exist. Very impressive to see. So let's do one more acceleration. Not a lot to talk about for this S-Class. It kind of speaks for itself. The paddles aren't quite as responsive as I would like them, but this is not a performance-oriented sedan, so they are there if you need to use them. If you just need to merge or need a little bit more low-end power, you need to drop a gear, you have those to use them if needed. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this 2022 Mercedes Benz S500. Once again, huge shout out to Mercedes Benz Northlake for providing this sedan for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads.